feel excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a little nerve-wracking too because I've never actually covered anything that's been so controversial before, where everyone has an opinion about it. So that will be a big learning experience for me.
I think it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and as a journalist, I think it's especially good because it can broaden my opportunities, my perspective, and get to tell a story that needs to be told.
Immigration is a really hot topic right now. You know, there's going to be lots of police, there's going to be people, you know, worried about why are we lugging cameras around, we look really young. Some of us, like me, look a little ethnic, so we might get asked for papers, etc. So I mean, there's lots of things to be worried about, but as a journalist, you got to just go out there and, you know, be who you are and get the story no matter what.
There's a lot of planning that's involved and a lot of work to do prior to going out there, but I feel like so much of it you can't really plan for or anticipate until you're actually there in the moment.
It's going to be amazing, really. As soon as Professor Latty announced to me that we were going to have this opportunity, I just felt like this is the reason that I came to a place like NYU.
The kind of journalism that we do at NYU is powerful and it's meaningful, and that's what we are. We're journalists. We're not students. We're journalists, and we're trying to learn and grow, and this is the best way to do it.
When I first became a professor 5 years ago, I never in a million years could dream of doing something like this with students. So it really is a dream come true, because I want them to be caring, sensitive, smart, educated journalists, and what better way to teach them than by bringing them to Arizona. This is like how it is on the job, which is something happens, you go, you cover it, you live it, you eat it, you breathe it for 2-3 days, and then you produce. So 5:30 in the morning, a bus will be in front of NYU, and I will have 17 sleepy graduate students. We will climb on the bus, and from the bus, we're going to start talking to them and lecturing them and telling them what to do and how it's going to work. We get to the airport, we wait for our flight, we talk some more. We get on the plane, we talk some more. We leave the plane, we talk some more.
Welcome to Tucson International.
Preparing myself mentally for my interview.
Not to leave baggage.
And the minute they land in Arizona, students from the University of Arizona will be picking them up and taking them out on their stories.
I just got an email from Sheriff Deaver, and it looks like if I'm not going to be able to meet him in person on Monday, I'll do a phone interview.
And ranchers for years, especially Arizona ranchers, you know, utilize immigrants on their ranches, and a lot of the traffic that came through, they were good rural people. They knew exactly what they were doing on the ranches.
If you want to be a journalist with integrity, you really need to know what's going on. And you can't learn that sitting in a classroom and watching me lecture. The way to learn that is to be physically in the middle of a big story. This is a big story. This is a story that what they're doing in Arizona, the new law, the way they feel about Mexicans, about Central Americans, about Latinos, resonates to immigrants from every country, everywhere.
My parents are immigrants, so there is a personal connection there. I think the immigrant story is the same regardless of how you come into this country. My parents came through JFK. But their goal was to better their lives, to reach some sort of success that they wouldn't have been able to necessarily back home because of the violence, because of the economy, because of a slew of reasons. And I think that's a driving factor for many of the people that are crossing into the border, that are crossing into the United States.
My parents are actually immigrants from Cuba. It's a different, culture, obviously, than Mexicans, but it's still close to home. I think, you know, all their struggles that they face are the same as some of the Mexicans. It's a little different, but I think it's definitely something that I feel and I'm passionate about, and I think people need to know about their stories.
I have seen how the entire debate about who Latinos are in this country has been framed by one issue, the undocumented, when the majority of Latinos in this country came here legally. And it really is upsetting to me as someone who watched her mother struggle through the immigration experience. And I'm only one generation away from a woman who grew up in poverty in the Dominican Republic. And I was given a chance. And it's really painful for me to see how this whole experience with the undocumented has become the only language that's used when it comes to the contributions Latinos have made to this country. And I want my students to see that, and so many of my students, when you really look at all of us, we all have somebody that came from somewhere, whether it's one generation away or 5 generations away. This is a country of immigrants.
It's like another world over here, and it's just a wall, you know? And how big of an impact a wall can make.
My biggest worry is really safety, but I want us to do some kick-ass journalism. It's gonna make us all proud. Goal number 2 is for my students to learn. I think maybe more than even having that story be published, I want them to learn.
Okay.
And I want them to leave the border with a newfound sensitivity and knowledge of how to cover immigration, which I am positive in their lifetime they will cover many times.
¿Cuántos años ha tenido este
restaurante?
No, el restaurante 49 años, pero la casa también.
Igual sí, porque empezamos a quedarnos aquí para no ir y venir en la noche de la casa. Y la casa de nosotros se la di a un hijo que trabaja conmigo, es el menor. Nomás que llega más tarde, porque él cierra.
Sí. ¿Y cuándo I want to tell, I guess, the story of a family. You know, my specific goal was to tell a story about the economics of the drug wars and how it's affecting Nogales, Arizona, and Nogales, Mexico. And I think a good goal would be to follow a local family. Like, some people, they just get the local media, but nobody really focuses on families as much. So I want to follow their struggles and how the violence on the border has affected tourism or, you know, just their livelihoods. There are a lot of images in their house, like it just was very homey, and there's a lot of, like, you know, welcome to the house, like bienvenido a la casa de abuela, you know, like I felt like she was my abuela taking me around, you know. So yeah, and then as a journalist, you know, as a person, I feel like I fit right in, but as a journalist, yeah, they have really interesting stories, and you know, these people get this reputation here, and they're good people.
Amanda started out weak, and towards the end she was hitting home runs, and it was fantastic and exciting to actually see her work.
It's a very exciting project, and we're doing everything from Latinos who feel alienated because of the law to Latinos who support the law. We're doing the sheriffs, we're doing the civil defense people, we're doing environmental degradation, we're doing detention centers, we're doing a mini documentary.
You look wonderful in HD, just so you know. We're at Arizona State University. I'm about to interview Dee Dee Blaze. She is the founder of Somos Republicans, and she's going to give my story kind of a contextual base of Republicans that are actually not for SB 1070.
This is a really great opportunity to actually go to a place where, you know, where so much is going on and really see for ourselves so that we can be informed journalists. And in the future, when my students are in real newsrooms working, they'll know. I mean, they'll know when an immigration story comes up, and it will, they'll have so much knowledge about the whole debate because they were a part of a big story.
What they've started to manufacture now over about the last year and a half are black water bottles.
Mm-hmm.
So that you don't see them at night.
It's clear many migrants are still desperately trying to get into the United States using treacherous trails. We found this one spot where many come to rest, leaving behind different articles like clothing and water bottles.
As a woman of Hispanic descent, as a journalist, as an American, I want to look at this issue and I want to expose my students to this issue in a really boots on the ground kind of way.
¿Qué pasó?
Me caí 3 veces. It was broad daylight though, and I was walking this trail and I'm trying to film and I'm trying to not fall, and what ends up happening, I fall. And in order to keep myself from falling, I just roll. Roll down the hill. I end up with scrapes all over my leg and a bruised butt and my hand all scraped out. But I was telling Sergio yesterday that my butt and my ego are equally bruised.
And as we were leaving, we saw like 9 migrant workers who were trying to come into the United States, and their guide left them, so they actually asked us for help. So we've actually seen the story unfolding in front of our eyes, and a lot of times you don't actually get to see that as a reporter when you have a day to tell your story, or maybe 2 days if you're lucky.
This is going to help me be, noticed by wonderful organizations. I'm trying to get a job in a couple months, so, showing somebody a piece of work like this where I went out, with my professor and did my own work, produced my own piece. I mean, this is going to be phenomenal.
When you walk the streets of this city, the thing to look at for the most is nuance, because there's so many little details here.
Being a one-woman band is absolutely crazy. I shoot every single little thing. I always have to be on the ball. I always have to be looking, watching, paying attention. Yesterday I was interviewing somebody I was interviewing and trying to look like a normal person, but I had on headphones and I was asking them questions and I couldn't speak back, and it's just really crazy. It's very hard, but I'm learning everything, so I'm happy. I'm working on my stand-up. I had about an hour to do it in the car, and instead I talked the entire time. I ran my mouth. So now I'm in a rush, trying to write my stand-up, and hopefully it'll be really good. I haven't put on my makeup, haven't done anything yet, so hopefully it'll work out. 3, 2, 1. SB 1070 is tearing apart a community under siege that needs each other, much like the wall behind me that...
Okay, no problem. That was good. That was good. One more.
Okay. I guess my biggest fear in terms of the video piece is probably my stand-up. Sometimes I'm a little bit stiff when I do my stand-up, so gotta shake it off. Maybe the heat will give me some something.
It's a typical day here in Nogales, Arizona. People are out shopping, hanging out with their families, having a great time. But not all Mexican Americans want these Mexicans to stay here past the time it takes for them to shop.
My story that I'm working on is about the border itself. It's about the fence and the separation between the countries.
I got about 500 photos yesterday, so that's good, and I went through them and I got a lot of good art on the wall.
Our trip up the wall yesterday. Did you hear about that?
It's going really well so far. Yesterday we spent the whole day in Mexico just checking out the border, hiking up the really huge hill up the wall and talking to locals.
When we went up the border fence, we walked up this long set of stairs, and we're like, I saw the stairs and I said we should walk up those. It goes right up to the side, and there was definitely someone looking through the fence, and we heard noises on the other side of the fence, and the guy was looking at us like we shouldn't have been there. And when we came back down, someone drove an SUV and blocked off where we had walked up. So we're not really sure what happened there, but it was interesting.
Emily is my U of A student who's helping me, and she was really great. She knows a lot about the area.
The whole experience has just been totally incredible. I did a ride-along yesterday with a member of the Border Crimes Unit in Pima County, And just seeing what these folks have to deal with, you know, they have 18 agents in their border crimes unit who are responsible for covering 300 miles of border. And it's just, you recognize that the task that they are asked to perform is totally impossible.
She's not answering. Hola, sí, Denia está? Denia está?
No entiendo.
Meredith Hoffman, la periodista.
Denia.
Sí.
Denia.
Bueno, quiero hablar con Denia. ¿Está allí o no?
No, salió ahorita, salió al hospital.
Bueno, pues llamaré ahorita.
Llame como a las 8.
Bueno, sí. Gracias, adiós.
Right after I got off the plane, Valeria came and picked me up and we went to Pima Medical Examiner, which is where they identify all of the bodies that come in of immigrants who've died in the desert. And we went to this giant refrigerator that held these bags of bodies.
I was really taken when the medical examiners, Bruce Sparks, asked her if she was, you know, are you okay if I open this door? You know, are you gonna be okay? And she said, she was just really, you know, with no hesitation, really firm, and she said, it's okay, I can take it, I'm not gonna faint. And I was in the back standing, and I was kind of wondering, am I gonna be able to take it, you know? And how is it gonna look if you know, I'm older and everything, if I faint over here.
And we also went to the cemetery where all of the unidentified immigrants have been buried, and there's not even a headstone.
All of these that you're building is like part of your body of experience as a journalist.
I've been a member of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists since I was a student at NYU. And I reached out to them, and what we came up with was a program in which 5 freelancers with experience in Latin America or in dealing with the Hispanic community are coming with us. And I've paired students that have really complex stories or who are going to Mexico with these freelancers.
I didn't expect to be like having such a close mentorship on this weekend, and I don't know how we bonded so quickly. I guess because we've been through a lot of intense things together in the past like 24 hours.
This has been a wonderful experience in terms of seeing students fresh out of the gate with big questions about our profession, and at the same time just trying to help them get their story and report their stories from the ground. Reporting can be fun, talking to people can be fun, traveling with your fellow journalists can be fun, but at the end of the day, it's a very challenging profession.
My goal is that when we land in Newark at 11:33 p.m. on Monday, that we're done.
Yeah.
The hectic schedule and staying up late and the stress doesn't really bother me as much because I want it to be good, so I'll stay up until I have to get it done.
I think that it's going to be a humongous challenge for all of us to get the story done.
My computer, it's not picking up the last recordings that I just put up, that like the translations from English to Spanish, and it's not reading it on my card.
I think I have a strong story. I think I have strong video to support it. So I think it's going to be good.
Success.
insert or superimpose, right?
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to do something like this because I know that this is really special.
We just got back from Arizona and it went really well. I'm very proud of what I've accomplished. I think I came back with about 1,000 photos and I'm still editing those right now. My slideshow's done, but I'm having some problems with my fonts, but hopefully it'll be on Pavement pieces very soon.
I'm done with the project. You want to see it's on Pavement pieces right now.